All right, YouTube, not so Slim Jim, coming to you with a update on House Bill HB 1927. So we did the live stream yesterday of exactly what was going on of everything in 7.5 hours or so of mostly idiots asking questions about a bill and doesn't pertain to the bill. But I went through all the amendments that was released today, read through them, looked at what they pertain to for the law. Now, I am not a legal expert. I am not a lawyer. I am not a politician. I am a mechanic, a welder, and a gunsmith. I like blowing stuff up and going bang bang with stuff. So this is my best interpretation of what I read so far. So there may be some slight misinterpretation, but for the most part, it's pretty simple. So these are the amendments that were added to the bill yesterday in the Senate. First of all, it reinforced you have to be 21. They said that multiple times, but yes, they made a bunch of changes throughout the bill that you must be 21 years of age to carry, and they made it where it's a penalty. If you are not 21 years of age, it is illegal. Okay, another one is if you have been charged underneath certain criminal codes of 22-01, 22-05, 22-07, or 42-01, 07, or 08 in the last 5 years, you cannot carry. So basically, a lot of people are talking about, well, what if people have a license to carry and then they lose it? Will they just be able to turn around and carry a gun? Well, they made amendments to it where you can't do that. So if you have a license to carry and you commit certain crimes, you can no longer carry, which kind of reinforces how it works, because the weird part, though, is they only make it where if you commit certain crimes without a license to carry, you can't carry at that point. But if you have a license to carry, it opens up a whole bunch of different crimes. So it's actually easier to not have a license, commit some crimes, and be able to carry, versus if you have an LTC, then there's a whole slew of different crimes you can commit and then lose your license and not be able to carry. Now, here's the thing, though. It's only if you are convicted of them. So it's not, oh, I just got charged with a crime. Now, as far as I know, I didn't see any change where if you are charged with a Class A or Class B misdemeanor or higher, they can still pull your license. So that's BS, but hey, whatever. All right, let's see. If you are a felon and you get caught carrying a firearm, they move it from a third-degree felony to a second-degree felony, which means it is a larger felony with mandatory jail time. Makes it illegal to carry a handgun while intoxicated on private properties. Now, this is a big one. So let's say you're on your own property, you're on your friend's property, wherever, you're on a big piece of property, and you are carrying and having a few beers. Now, the way the law states right now for the carry of a handgun is you don't actually have to be intoxicated. The officer can determine you being intoxicated without doing a field sobriety test or doing a breathalyzer or blood test. Just because you are carrying a firearm, they can determine you to be intoxicated. So now, other than being out in public or driving a vehicle, which, yeah, you can actually get a DWI without being a field sobriety test or having a breathalyzer simply because you're carrying a firearm, they can now do that on your own property or in your own home by simply carrying a handgun. So that's not a good amendment. I think that was a very poor choice, or at least very poorly written. They should have made it where at least you have to be conducted of a field sobriety test and a breathalyzer or blood test to be convicted of that crime. But hey, whatever, it's Texas. DPS will create an online safety course. It has to be done sometime by 2022. This basically says, hey, we're going to make like an online course so people can learn the laws. It's going to be free. There's another part of the law that says they can't charge money for it, which, knowing Texas, I wouldn't be surprised to say, hey, it's $9.99. Like, no, it's got to be free. It's going to allow people who do not take the class, who do not get your license, to be able to go on and figure out what the laws are so you don't do dumb stuff. All right, it also creates a 30-05 sign. So I read up on this. Basically, the 30-05 sign is you can't carry in here, and it covers both people who are licensed and unlicensed, both opened or concealed. So if they don't want guns on their property from anyone, they put up a 30-05 sign, and poof, no guns whatsoever. They are gone. Removes oral notification. Now, this is the way I read it, and I might be wrong, so I'm sure more scholastic people will come out and correct me on this if I am incorrect. It removes oral notification for people who do not have a license. Now, I'm sure it probably is supposed to be for both, but the way it read, it seemed like it was talking only underneath 30.5, so I'm assuming it probably is going to be for both. But yeah, so now if let's say you walk into a business and you didn't see a sign, they don't have to come up and say, hey, you need to leave. They can now just call the cops and be like, oh, you didn't see the sign. So yeah, no longer required oral notification for your 90-year-old frail person at Walmart that they keep talking about during the sessions. Okay, and they also made it so you cannot carry if you lose your LTC. So basically, even because underneath the law, or the way they have the amendment set up right now, is if you get convicted of a crime, you cannot carry for 5 years. But further in the amendments, it has stated that if you lose your license to carry, you cannot carry a gun whatsoever. So they were talking about that, and looks like they have this set up that if you are suspended for your LTC, you cannot just keep carrying because, oh, well, I don't have my LTC, but I haven't been convicted of crime. No, they have it set up where you can't carry if your license is suspended without it. So yeah, once again, the state punishing people who do the class and do the background check and do everything, making it more difficult for them than otherwise. So this is what I read. I'm sure people with more experience in reading law are going to go into it, but this is what I read after spending about 2 hours going through the laws, trying to read through everything and make sense of it. As usual, if you got any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down in the comment section. Till next time, YouTube, you have a great day.